is Misha. I'm one of the co-founders and directors of Greenpop, an environmental organization based in Cape Town, South Africa. I'm not a scientist and I did not study any form of sustainable development. I studied industrial design and I take a problem-solving and design-thinking approach to creatively catalyzing landscape-based change. Greenpop started 12 years ago with a mission to plant just 1,000 trees. In the beginning, we were all friends looking to re-green undergreen areas of Cape Town. And since then, we've professionalized our team and expanded our work to 4 countries in Southern and East Africa: Malawi, Tanzania, Zambia, and South Africa. We've planted 200,000 trees, and we've worked with over 40,000 youth, volunteers, and community members. We've earned our stripes, and we now have a deep understanding of how to implement people-centered, context-specific restoration that is focused on outcomes and not just counting trees. One of our flagship projects is located in the Amatole mountains of the Eastern Cape of South Africa. This is a place that captures the imagination like very few places on earth. Legend has it that J.R. Tolkien lived in the village of Hogsback, where much of our work takes place, and was inspired by his surrounding landscapes when writing The Lord of the Rings. This place of magic and wonder, not only because of incredible Afro-montane forests that dominate this landscape, but also because of the many wondrous mammals, reptiles, and bird species which call these forests home. One of these species is the Cape parrot, which is now on the verge of extinction with fewer than 1,800 birds left in the wild. While elusive due to their limited numbers, these birds are not shy about making their presence known with a conspicuous vocal repertoire which includes the following 5 distinct calls: zoo-wee, 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 zzz-keek, and the nasal zeek. I've definitely butchered those. It often calls before taking off and will sing sometimes continuously while flying to its next destination. Cape parrots are typically found in the high altitude Afro-montane forests of the Amatole region, which were once dominated by large hardwood trees. One of these tree species is the indigenous yellowwood tree, our South African equivalent of the majestic American redwood. However, over the last 200 years, these monarch trees have been plundered for their hardwood, leaving limited forage and habitat for Cape parrots. This logging also caused broader environmental damage by creating space for invasive non-indigenous trees. When indigenous trees are removed, we lose ecological function, water provisioning, and a whole spectrum of vertebrates and invertebrates. These effects are being felt in the Amatole region right now. So, in response to this situation, in 2017, Greenpop partnered with the Cape Parrot Project, a project of the Wild Bird Trust, to create the Mistbelt Habitat Restoration Project, an effort which is endorsed by our national government, which aims, in short, to restore forests and improve land management in state-owned forests near Hogsback, and, in the long term, bring back habitats for Cape parrot and other key forest species across 2 South African provinces. So what have we managed to do to date? Between ourselves and our partners on the ground, we've managed to restore over 150 hectares of prime forest areas through active and passive restoration. We've also established one community-run micro-nursery employing over 30 people to grow trees to be planted in our forest projects from local collected indigenous seeds. Additionally, there are 14 community members who are employed to actively carry out restoration efforts on a weekly basis, restoring their own local landscapes, forests, and riparian areas. Initial monitoring of this project shows a significant reduction in alien invasive vegetation, increased plant species richness, and an improvement in water flow in riparian areas. Between 2023 and 2027, the project will focus on restoring a further 57 hectares of forest land through alien invasive plant management, natural regeneration management, and where needed, active planting of 40,000 indigenous trees. It will support the establishment of an additional community run tree nursery and include community training in tree propagation and nursery management. Forest restoration is by no means an easy task. Working in this environment has a whole plethora of tricky challenges, many of which relate directly to how the land was degraded in the first place. These forests have a long history of intensive logging. While this has slowed down in recent years, the effects of what has happened are long-lasting and transformative. The non-indigenous vegetation that has moved into this area outcompetes with natural species and changes the soil profile, which often makes the ground difficult for local species to regenerate naturally. The non-indigenous vegetation has an additional challenge. Increased, hotter fire regimes have become a significant part of this landscape. These invasive species are also incredibly thirsty, sucking up water from the river systems and significantly affecting downstream communities and ecosystems by reducing access to water and increasing threat from fire. Thus, removing and managing the regrowth of these invasives is critical to the success of this project. Social and economic issues in this region are also pervasive. Lack of access to education, work opportunities, and basic amenities that mean that most people who live in these surrounding forests are in survival mode. Within this context, poaching and illegal logging are not surprising. In order to tackle these challenges, this project focuses on conducting a robust and ongoing community consultation and stakeholder management. It has established a community custodian committee to give power to the local individuals in protecting the forests on their doorstep. It has actively created jobs and income-generating opportunities for local communities through tree growing and restoration activities. Through all of these interventions, local communities are at the center of the process of restoring their own landscapes. What do we see as a bright and colorful future for this region and its ecosystem? The primary goals of this project are the restoration of priority forest habitats and the support of sustainable livelihoods. More specifically, we expect this project to provide increased forest growth and quality and density, climate change mitigations, improved soil stability, increasing tree and bird species biodiversity, decreased alien invasive vegetation, and increased community income and skills. And we're tackling these goals now and into the future by doing the following: assisting natural regeneration through improved management of alien vegetation, planting 40,000 trees where natural regeneration is unlikely to occur, developing further community-run micro-nurseries through the purchase of seedlings, and then employing local communities to be forest restoration rangers. With the necessary funding, this project will restore another 50 plus hectares of key ecosystems, restore habitats for birds, restore infiltration and retention for critical water catchment, and this will improve the water security for more than 1 million underserved people. Framed in the language of Sustainable Development Goals, the project will contribute toward Goal 8, decent work and economic growth, Goal 13, climate action, and Goal 15, life on land. And this is only the beginning. Right now, research and mapping is underway to massively expand this project by 10-fold. Once we have taken this next hurdle, our project partners and ourselves are looking to earmark the entire Mistbelt mountain range as an extensive landscape-based project spanning 2 provinces and some 280 kilometers. The project has the scope to change the face of our country. So how can we make this happen? We need about $500,000 over the next 5 years. Starting in the second quarter of 2023, we have the potential to kickstart this restoration effort. Funds dispersed to the community partners and implementers will serve to support the initiating of micro-tree nurseries, clearing of invasives, training of community forest rangers, and longer term, managing and monitoring of the landscapes, including keeping an eye on the Cape parrot populations through camera traps and bird monitoring. Yes, carbon will be sequestered, but more than this. The ecosystem services that will be realized in rolling this project out will be massively more valuable to those living within these communities. Greenpop makes use of the indicators outlined in the Road to Restoration guidelines created by the World Resource Institute. We found this framework to be a particularly practical way of framing priority outcomes within a project, and thus defining the project parameters and activities based on the local context. Not every project or intervention is created equal. After defining the project goals during the project development phase, Greenpop and our local partners select appropriate monitoring methods to assess progress towards the goals defined for the specific project over a 20-year period. All of Greenpop projects include a custom set of monitoring methodologies, which are utilized to assess progress, monitored through interviews, imagery, plot analysis, satellite data. Through these methods, we can create a robust set of feedback that informs better projects, optimizes ecological function, and ensures that we can adapt as we go. In closing, to restore the habitats of humans, Cape parrots, and the countless other species, we need to bring indigenous forests back, and particularly yellowwood trees. These massive, creaky sentinels are our shared future. They're the natural skyscrapers, bird homes, and water holders and releases of the eastern escarpment of southern Africa. To bring back the yellowwood is to bring back the majesty and splendor of this unique ecosystem at the edge of the African continent, and the fantastical visions supposedly held by J.R.R. Tolkien some century ago. To bring back the dignity to the isiXhosa people of the Amatole region in bringing the life-giving water needed for their very survival. And of course, it is to bring back the charismatic Cape parrot back into these woods and the wilderness, and let their call carry through the trees and into the future. Thank you.